Hello, my name is Leonard, and this is the Symantec Enterprise Vault 10 for Exchange Administration course, Lesson 17, Introduction to the Enterprise Vault Troubleshooting. In this lesson, we're going to look at a variety of different server tools that are available to help us troubleshoot common, simple type of problems with Enterprise Vault. We'll also look at the server-side tools as well as the client-side tools that's going to help us with that. And then we'll also discuss some issues that will make communicating and working with the support system easier as well. First, looking at the Enterprise Vault server-side tools. When we're troubleshooting in the Enterprise Vault, one of the things that you need to do is start to consider some questions as far as how this error is being represented or how it's showing up in your environment. So what is the actual error condition? Are you in fact getting an error message in the Enterprise Vault Administration console, or are you getting a pop-up? Are you getting it in the event logs? If you are getting it in the event logs, then you should try to save those event logs in order to send them off to support if you're able to do that. If it's something that's not in a log somewhere that can be retrieved, then you want to try to capture a screenshot of what is occurring. Also, you want to look at, can you repeat the particular problem, or is it an intermittent problem? Of course, the intermittent problems are always the ones that are much more difficult to troubleshoot. You need to try to isolate the problem to determine if the problem is happening on the client side or is it happening on the server side. And one of the ways to try to isolate that can be, is it affecting all the users? Is it affecting some users? Is it affecting particular users? And once again, what we're trying to do with these questions is to help us start the process of narrowing down what the actual problem is so we can determine what is going to be the best tool to help us figure out the exact issue, and then we can try to correct that issue. Diagnosing the problem with logs. Examine the event logs in the Enterprise Vault environment. We generate two separate event logs. One is the Symantec Enterprise Vault event log, and the other one is the Symantec Enterprise Vault converter log. The event log keeps track of all the things that can go wrong on the server for the application level, and the Enterprise Vault converter log deals with the fact of converting the files either into HTML or text, and we talked about that being part of the process of storing and indexing the individual items. Also remember that a lot of the interface with Enterprise Vault is through a web-based application. Because it is between Enterprise Vault and that web-based application on Enterprise Vault, you can use the Internet Information Services logs to try to figure out if the problem is in fact in the Internet Information Services configuration. For problems with tasks, look at the report files. We talked about the fact that when an archiving task runs or a journal task runs, it will generate a report. So we can go and look at those reports to try to figure out what went wrong as part of the process. And then we also have a tool that you can use on the server side called the dtrace tool. And this dtrace tool can collect logging information about the Enterprise Vault services and tasks as they are running. So going back and revisiting the event log, this is showing you using the Server Manager utility. When you go through the diagnostic section, through the event viewer, under the Microsoft logs, under the applications and services logs, you can see the two logs that have been installed by Enterprise Vault. We have the Symantec Enterprise Vault log and the Symantec Enterprise Vault Converters log. As with most common event logs, we're going to go through and look at the information, warning, and errors that are occurring in the particular event logs associated with Enterprise Vault. Now, the primary log, or the one to start off with, will be the Symantec Enterprise Vault, because it will have the majority of errors that occur in an Enterprise Vault environment. And as I mentioned, if you do find a particular error, it can be good to save the event log in a .evtx type of a format on a Windows 2008 server so that you can look at all the different logs that occurred. Now, if you write down the event log number and the description, that can be helpful, but actually seeing the events that occur around the actual error or warning can also be very helpful as well. This shows you an example of a Windows 2008 event log. It'll have the general section, which gives you the description at the top. It'll specify the log file that it came out of. In this case, it's the Symantec Enterprise Vault. It shows you the source and the event ID. The event ID can be very helpful when you're going to be searching the knowledge bases to help you localize or determine what particular solutions there may be to that particular error message. But once again, when you are recording what is occurring, at a minimum, record the description and the event ID. To investigate errors that occur in the event log, you can go to the Symantec knowledge base, type in the event ID and the number, and you should see pop-ups that give you, you should see results that represent some different things that you could try, or other people that's had that particular error and what they have done to correct that particular error. As we mentioned, because a lot of the applications interface with Enterprise Vault through the Internet Information Services logs, you can go and access those logs and see what is happening in association with Enterprise Vault. These logs are installed on the Windows installation directory under a folder named inetpub logs log files, and then the actual folder is W3SVC1. And then you'll see the log itself, which will have a name that will have a date time stamp on it for when that particular log was created. And you can do search on Enterprise Vault to find the individual entries that are associated with Enterprise Vault. Also, as we mentioned, is that if you are running a particular task in report mode, that can be helpful for troubleshooting. But also when they run in actual archiving mode, you can go through and open up these particular reports. And this is showing you on a Windows 2008 server. If you open up the Windows Explorer, you navigate down to the installation directory for the Enterprise Vault, and you will have a reports folder. And in this particular case here, you can see some of the different tasks that I'll be writing into individual folders. So I have the Exchange Journal folder where the Exchange Journal task will write reports, your Exchange Mailbox Archiving folder, which is where your Exchange Mailbox Archiving task will write reports, and then the Exchange Provisioning folder, which is where the Exchange Provisioning task writes its reports. And these reports can show you what has been happening prior to the particular error, what has been processed during the actual task itself, or if you were running it in report mode, what would have been processed, as well as any failures or errors. And it can give you some more details that you may not see in the actual event logs. Next is to use a tool on the server side. This tool is called the dtrace. Dtrace will do a logging of all the things that are occurring in your Enterprise Vault services and tasks. It is set up, and you can configure it to be in a verbose mode, or you can set it up to be in a more basic mode as well. You can go through, and also if you have an idea of which specific service is causing the problem, you can enable it to only log certain processes that are occurring. And in the log file, it'll basically go through and give you a line-by-line example of what is occurring inside the Enterprise Vault environment. It can be run from both the command prompt, and we'll give you an example of that in just a moment. And you can also start it up in the Enterprise Vault Administration console. Typically, if you're not working with support, we recommend that you do it from within the Enterprise Vault Administration console, because we've already got those processes, services, and tasks that would typically be logged based upon the condition that's specified from the Enterprise Vault Administration console. And we'll see that here in just a moment. To capture the logs, you run, or you try to run the actual process that's failing once you've set up and started the dtrace process. This dtrace enables you to monitor multiple services simultaneously, write the actual trace file to, or write the actual trace to a file, and also filter it based upon specific words that you might be searching for. And then you can also set up triggers inside of the filter so that the filter doesn't start the dtrace logging process until a certain condition exists. We're going to go through and look at running the dtrace from the Enterprise Vault Administration console first. So first you have to make it available by going through the Tools menu and selecting the Advanced Features option. Then you'll go through and set up and run the actual trace, and then you'll examine the dtrace log files. So here we show you a screenshot of the Enterprise Vault Administration console, going through and selecting the Tools option, and you'll have the Advanced Features menu option under Tools. Once you select that and place it there, will show up a check mark there. You can then go into the actual Enterprise Vault Administration console tree view, go down through the status, go past the directory through the Enterprise Vault site, down to the individual Enterprise Vault servers. And then on the individual Enterprise Vault servers, you'll have a new option available below the services and tasks, which are there by default, which will say traces. Once you selected that, you can then right-click traces and select that you wish to run a new trace. And when you run a new trace, you'll give it a description and a name, and then you'll specify what you want the trace category to run. So the highlighted item here is the mailbox archiving issues. So if you set up mailbox archiving and yet it seems that it's not actually occurring as expected, then you will go ahead and select the mailbox archiving issues, and the dtrace will be automatically configured to look for the correct services and tasks that are involved in the mailbox archiving issues, common archiving issues, so that those will show up in your trace log. Also, as part of the wizard for setting up and running the trace, you will specify how long you wish the trace to run. You can specify the maximum size of the dtrace log file, and you also specify the folder in which you wish the particular trace file to be shown. Once that's all done, you can then right-click on it and select Run Now, and then the trace should run through to completion. So here in the Enterprise Vault Administration Console, we're showing you the example of a task that we have named Exchange Task is Failing. The trace category was the mailbox archiving issues that we highlighted in the previous slide. We can tell you when it started and how long it ran for. So it ran for 5 minutes, and it will tell you when that particular dtrace has completed. Once it's completed, we can actually open it up right from the Enterprise Vault Administration Console by right-clicking on the dtrace task and selecting Open Log. If you don't wish to do it that way, you can actually navigate through your Windows Explorer environment to where the dtrace log file is located. So in this particular case here, we put it in a folder, and we name the file for the log to be trace_log, and then there's a date timestamp .log. And you can specify the name of that particular log. Now this log here was one that was created by the actual Enterprise Vault Administration Console. If you run it from the command prompt, you can actually specify the name of the dtrace log file to give it a more meaningful meaning for you. If you do run it from the command prompt, you go through and you navigate to where the dtrace is located, and then you go through and type in the word dtrace. It'll come up and show you the version, and then it will change the prompt. So here we show you that we are in the dtrace prompt, and then you specify a command. To see all the different commands that are available, for this example, we typed in the word help, and it gives you a list of the various actions that you can perform, such as viewing the current trace options, setting the trace options, resetting the trace options, and so on. For more details about how to use the dtrace, you can look at the maintaining and troubleshooting course. Also, we can look at the documentation. We'll give you more details about what each individual command does and the different switches that you wish to specify. When you are done, you can go ahead and type in exit, and it will take you out of the dtrace. If you wish to see what's happening in the actual command prompt, you can type in the command MON, short for monitor, and it will actually repeat whatever is occurring into the trace log on the screen. Next tool that's available for running on the Enterprise Vault server is called the Enterprise Vault Storage, Verify, and Repair tool. The acronym is EVSVR. When you're using this, it'll actually go through and try to coordinate problems between indexes, fingerprints, and partitions. Each one of these different items we're going to call a data silo, because we have certain data being stored based upon these different items within Enterprise Vault. And then when you run this EVSVR tool, it can go through and do verification between the data silos, or it can go through and give you reports about the problems that are existing. And you also have the capability with the verify and repair of actually recovering the tool. We do recommend that you are careful when you are repairing the storage database, and we recommend that you run the report first and get advice from the Enterprise Vault support environment before continuing with a repair action. Now, as I was mentioning before, the idea of the report, verify, and repair functionality deals with the 3 different data silos that need to be synchronized, if you will, or up to date with each other, which are the Vault Store database, the fingerprint database, the partitions, as well as the indexes. And the Enterprise Vault Storage Verify and Repair tool can do a report. It can scan each individual data silo and report the results. You can do a verify. It'll scan a data silo, compare that results with the other data silos, and report if there is any problems. Or it can do a repair. It can scan a data silo, compare the results with other data silos, report and repair any problems. So for example, let's say that we have it scan the fingerprint database and prepare a report, and we want to compare the fingerprint database to the items that are stored on the individual partitions. Well, maybe it retrieves one of those items and sees that there's a fingerprint that it thinks that a particular item should have, but the fingerprint of that item doesn't agree what's stored in the fingerprint database. Well, that means we have a problem with the Enterprise Vault, so therefore we want to be able to go through and print that out in a report and then determine if we wish to have the tool actually try to do the repair process. The basic steps for running the Enterprise Vault Storage Verify and Repair tool is you start it from the command line. When you start it from the command line, it'll open up a command prompt, and then from that command prompt you type in edit. That's the actual command that starts the process. You will then create and save a task control file, and this task control file is just an XML file based upon what you're trying to accomplish. You will then run the task control file using the start command. Once it's done, you will then examine the reports that are created as based upon what you have run in the Enterprise Vault Storage Verify and Repair tool. This is just an overview of this tool. We have documentation in the knowledge base for specifics on how to run and use this tool. Also, if you want more details and practice using the tool, we do actually work with this tool in the Enterprise Vault Maintain and Troubleshoot course. So we've been looking at the tools that are available to troubleshoot issues on the actual Enterprise Vault server, but we also may be having problems on the client. So we want to look at some of the tools that are available on the client to help us troubleshoot problems. First, we're going to look at the Enterprise Vault Diagnostics tool. The Enterprise Vault Diagnostics tool allows you to set up logging on the client and actually view the log. You also have certain configuration settings associated with Vault Cache and PST migration. We're not going to get into those in this particular introduction to troubleshooting. We're going to look at the log file settings, and with the log file settings you can have it log just errors, you can have it log information, or you can do what's called minimum or maximum tracing. If you selected maximum tracing, you can also have it include any issues that it has with the virtual vault. And once you set up this tracing, you then close this and you try to attempt whatever is causing the problem. And once you try to figure out what's causing the problem, or you attempt that action, you will then come back in and try to view the log. So you click the Open Log button, and it will open up the client log. Once you've started it up, you can then open the client log, go through the individual line items, and try to determine where the problem occurred. Next, if you want to get details about the configuration of Enterprise Vault, you can open up the Enterprise Vault information. Way back when we were looking at the client access lesson, we showed you where you could go through and access this dialog box looking at the Enterprise Vault information section. And in this particular example, we're showing you the version information and the user details. But you can also scroll down, and this will have all the individual settings, including the things that are inside the hidden message. So in this example here, we're showing you the hidden messages in a folder and all the individual information that is stored in that hidden message. And again, as we went through the mailbox archiving lessons and the journal archiving lessons, we talked about the importance of the information that's stored in that hidden message in order for archiving to correctly take place. So being able to see what was in the message in the client side can be very helpful with troubleshooting a problem that you may have on the client. Next issue we want to talk about is that if you do decide that the problem can't be figured out and fixed on your own, you may need to contact Symantec support engineers. So we'll talk a little bit about some things that you can do to try to make that process a little bit easier. Again, check the documentation to help you. We do have some troubleshooting issues listed in the Enterprise Vault Administration's Guide. Also, you can go through the help system. We do have a comprehensive knowledge base under what's called the SimWise location, and we give you the link there to that. Also, you can go to the Connect forums, And with the Connect forums, you can see different Symantec experts that are replying to individual users' problems. So maybe somebody else has already had your problem, and the solution will be listed there as well. When you actually make a call to the Symantec Enterprise Vault support system and get technical support, make sure that you have the contacts and numbers that you need to call. Provide your case number if you've previously called in and logged a case, and ensure that you have some information readily at hand. These are going to include the symptoms that you're experiencing, the exact error message, and again, this gets back to that if it is showing up in the Enterprise Vault event log, to save those event logs. So if your company's policy allows the sending of those event logs to Symantec, we can open them up and view them. The scope of the servers and users that are being affected. Is it an individual user? Is it affecting all the Enterprise Vault servers or just one Enterprise Vault servers? And very importantly, the actions that you've already taken. If you've gone through and you've run some of the Enterprise Vault storage, verify, and repair tool actions, let us know that. Also, if you've gone through and looked at some of the client-side diagnostics, let us know if you have that information available as well. Also, one of the things that's going to be very important to troubleshooting your problem is to know the versions of all the software that you're using in your Enterprise Vault environment. This is going to include the version of the Enterprise Vault server, as well as the version of the Enterprise Vault client add-in that you're using, the SQL Server version and service pack, your Exchange mail server, what you're using, version, service pack, and on the client's operating system, and which version of Outlook and which version of the Outlook add-in that you're using. When you do call in, we would appreciate if you would be able to give us a severity level to kind of help us gauge how important this particular problem is and the impact that it's having in your environment. We rate our severity in levels 1 through 4. For severity level 1, a system is down or the product is completely inoperative, and this is directly impacting your production or a business critical operation. We have severity 2. This is severely affecting or restricting a major functionality within your business structure. A severity 3 is an issue with no major effect on business systems, but is something that you need to have addressed. And a severity 4, which might be a minor condition with documentation or the interface or something that you need to have assistance with. When you report the issue, when a case is open, there should be an email sent to you that requests specific information if you haven't already provided it. This can include what kind of problem is occurring. Again, some of the questions we've already addressed, such as the users that are being affected, where and when did the problem occur, when did the problem start, were there any changes to your environment? Did you just install service packs yesterday? And then all of a sudden Enterprise Vault starts working. So maybe we can go and check the compatibility guide to verify that that service pack has not impacted your Enterprise Vault environment. And then it also may have some references if we can recognize the problem that you reported when you initially opened the case that can start you along the guides of repairing the particular problem. If we do ask you to collect information for support, one of the easiest ways to collect this information is to run the deployment scanner. If you want to run the deployment scanner, you can just go into the Enterprise Vault Administration Console, navigate from your directory to your site, down to the Enterprise Vault server, right-click on the Enterprise Vault server, and you should have an option to run the deployment scanner. Now, we ran the deployment scanner as part of our installation prerequisite checks, but we can also run it for gathering information. You'll see here on the screen there's a checkbox that says gather information about your environment and store it in a CAB file for the Symantec support to analyze. And when you go through this wizard, it'll prompt you for the location of where you wish to store the particular CAB file. The CAB file will automatically go through and collect a lot of information, such as your Enterprise Vault client and server configuration settings, your event logs, and additional information that we would need to troubleshoot. And then it collects all this information and places it in this CAB file so that you can either upload it to an FTP server so we can download it, or if it's not too awfully large, you could actually send it to us via email. So in this lesson, you learned some of the server and client tools that can be used for troubleshooting problems in your Enterprise Vault environment. You also learned how to work with the Symantec support and to start off a support call and make that process go easier. Our reference materials include the Enterprise Vault Administrator's Guide, the Deployment Scanner Guide. To get access to the Symantec Knowledge Base, we have the hyperlink on the screen. Also the Connect forum where the forums associated with Enterprise Vault are going to be located. And we also have a maintain and troubleshoot course that will be available. And this brings us to the end of Lesson 17.